Gulliver's Travels is not a novel. I know you want to call it a novel. It is not a novel. A novel is a particular genre, and this is not it. I know a few of you want to call every form of literary text a novel. Please stop. Others of you want to call all forms of prose fiction novels, and I see why you want to, but here in the English department, the novel is a particular kind of prose fiction, and this isn't it. This does not pretend really to realism. It does not pretend to really get down to the human experience. It is a satire. First of all, it is a satire. It is an elaborate, pointed joke, in many ways pointed at the Swift's political and religious enemies, people he thinks of as fools, cads, knaves, Whigs, and Methodists. It is a travel narrative the Europeans have for some time been telling kind of tall tales set in faraway locations. I went off to the Emperor of wherever, and these wonderful things happened, and then very unlikely things can happen, because when it comes to the rest of the world, Europeans will believe anything that they tell each other about the entire rest of the world. And it is, in various ways, though not perfectly, a utopia. The utopia is another kind of, it's a thought experiment narrative about an imaginary country where things are run much better. It is the first utopia in English, the first utopia by an Englishman. It was actually written in Latin by Sir Thomas More, was written in the 1500s, and it is called Utopia. Utopia is a word that literally means no place. It gets name-checked by Gulliver himself. He mentions Utopia. Both in the first voyage in part 6, and then in a much more extended way in the fourth voyage, Gulliver lays out the kind of idealized habits, forms of education, etc., that the Lilliputians and the Wyndhams used to govern their nations. But these are very clearly critiques of English forms of behavior, and sometimes, because this is a satire, sometimes deliberately absurd. Okay, that the Lilliputians view ingratitude as a capital offense, you'll be executed for ingratitude, is both like, yeah, well, ingratitude is a very heavy sin. That's a real moral wrong. On the other hand, executing people for ingratitude seems a little crazy. The idea that children owe nothing to their parents, as the Lilliputian told it, because the parents weren't really thinking about begetting the children, they just wanted to have sex, so they don't really, the kids don't owe the parents anything. This isn't an idea that should be taken at face value. I don't believe Swift would actually view this as a value that people should hold inside England and Ireland in his day or our day. The utopia part is constantly undermined by the satire part. It is useful as a way of critiquing what is ridiculous or morally deficient in the Britain of Swift's own day, but also the joke is on the Lilliputians and the Wyndhams and very much on Gulliver as well, so none of this can ever be taken fully at face value. Oh no, does that make things ambiguous? Yes, but ambiguity is where the English department really lives and makes its money.